Hey folks, this is part 2 of our coverage of the resignation of John Malera, Danny Shaw, and Bree from the American Communist Party. For additional commentary on the resignation letters, check out part 1 of this episode. And be sure to check out the Patreon for extra banter that I didn't want to delete, but didn't know what else to do with. Look for the Left Opposition podcast on Patreon, and now on to the rest of the episode.
I've read Marx, I've read Engels, I've read Das Kapital.
The world is run by Trotskyists.
Hardcore Trotskyists.
How great an anti-American Marxist.
They're controlled by Trotskyists, as you put it, and these are the most evil, sick human beings on the face of the planet.
The other guy.
Oh, yes.
There's so much more.
There's a lot.
He's got a few articles. Actually,
we're not going to do all of his articles. This is just his resignation letter, which has the highlights of everything else.
Okay. All right.
So again, this is by, oh man,
I think that's Danny Shaw.
So it's the guy on the right. He's like a foot taller than everybody else.
Is he John Fetterman? Oh wow, he's John. Okay.
I know, right?
He's kind of got similar politics, honestly.
Fetterman's actually to his left, weirdly enough.
Okay, so good morning to the American proletariat, to all my comrades in the ACP, and to all the class-conscious, anti-imperialist voices who have been waiting patiently for months to break the silence from within the ACP. Okay, you know what? I'll just read the whole thing. I'll cut out.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Go for it.
Yeah, it's actually not as long as it looks.
Okay.
Last year, I drove over 10,000 miles to Cleveland, to Chicago, to Kansas City, to LA, and everywhere in between to meet you all, listen, and to build. You all taught me so much about Palestine, about organizing, about the fake compatible left who failed us. You were my motivation for stepping up to form this party. Again, this is the result of, a lack of a leftist party for people to kind of coalesce around.
Yep.
You get all sorts of weird reactionary stuff like this, like that Gramsci quote, I think it's called. You were my motivation for stepping up to form this party. I don't care what the left says about you. You patriots and anti-imperialists are my sisters and brothers. Yeah, strike. Yeah. I'll always be grateful that I got to build with you in your cities and towns, in the trenches in defense of our class. I wanted to believe so badly that these 3 letters right here, my red ACP hat, represented something different in the American trajectory. I have been trained in Marxism-Leninism since 1994. So this is the guy that's older than Doug.
I think you should get a refund from your train. That guy deserves a refund from his trainer.
No kidding.
Yeah.
If this is where your Marxism-Leninism taught you, then what does that
whoever
say?
trained you, I need to talk to your manager real quick.
What does that say about your training, about your Marxism-Leninism?
Oh my God. I think Doug's every 10th word of it, maybe, but okay.
I have worked with revolutionaries in 86 different countries in 6 different languages, and what I've seen the last 5 months since the ACP was formed is the antithesis, the opposite of what I believe in, everything Marx, Shea, William Foster, Claudia Jones, W.E.B. Du Bois, and Malcolm believed in. We communists are anti-bullies. We do not believe in discrimination against gay people, women, or leftists. The proletariat comes in every last color, shape, and size. We seek unity and growth, not bullying and backwardness. I would apologize for the disgraceful ACP leadership, but the apology is not mine to give. Class struggle occurs everywhere throughout the pores of the society, not just in the universities of liberal left chancellors or liberal left cancelers. I did what I had to do. I have no regrets nor resentments.
That's not a bad paragraph. I'll give credit when credit's due. Yeah, all right.
You know what? He at least recognizes, why this will ultimately fail.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Partial credit.
Now I have to address you specifically about the person you know as Haas. His real name is Ali Hamoud from Dearborn, Michigan. Based on the past year working with him, I can tell you he is a fraud, a coward, a liar, a sadist, a loose cannon, and a narcissist. I mean, I could have told you that, honestly.
You needed how many months to figure that out, bud?
I remember when I was still in the IMT, I actually had a contact meeting with somebody. He asked me about, like, hey, what do you think of Haas?
What the fuck is what? Why?
And this was during a reading group, and nobody at the table understood who the hell that was except me. I'm like, oh yeah, he's a fucking crazy idiot.
Yeah, like,
and this was 3 years ago.
If anything,
4 years ago.
Boring when he's not flipping out. Like he's not like an interesting guy. He says a lot of shit, but I don't know what the fuck he said. Like he talks for an hour. I'm like, what did I just listen to? Because I was gonna do like a knowledge fight thing of like taking his word. He is so boring to listen to.
Yeah.
If he's not screaming.
He is completely adverse to working with others and to mentorship. To think that a streamer who lives on the second floor of his parents' home could overnight become a leader of class struggle is beyond delusional. It is the gravest insult to our revered traditions as the leaders of our class, going back to Eugene Debs. And he's just name dropping a bunch of folks. Let me unpack what these last few months have looked like from within leadership. On October 11th, we had our national conference in Chicago where I met many of you. We stayed in Airbnb. It was all very strange. Kyle Pettis, the chief suck up, and you are lucky, you little bitch, that I cannot use the language that you, your boss, Ali Hamoud, and the rest of the executive board uses with us every day.
Wow,
Kyle's-
we're going in. Wow, okay. Wow, okay. All right. We're going into the fourth gear quick. All right.
Kyle sat Ali in a type of throne where the two were elevated high above us. The rest of the leadership at the mansion in Skokie, they were the only two invited to speak. They bragged about their contacts with oligarchs in Russia. This is all about Ali and Kyle. This is not about the Politburo, the chapter executives, and least of all the American people. How many times have they put us all in danger? On the next day, Saturday, I was the first to return to the Skokie mansion after the conference. I found all the doors wide open with all of our possessions and laptops there. This is not a sober leadership. On November 1st, Kyle Pettis and Ali Hamoud lied to me. This is really crazy.
Okay.
They lied to me, manipulated me, and tricked me into a meeting with two American journalists who have been involved with the gangs in Haiti. Dan Cohen and Kim Ives have worked with paramilitary factions as hundreds of thousands of Haitians have been murdered, displaced, and traumatized. Ali and Kyle had been maneuvering since April to try and muzzle me on Haiti and to try to silence the thousands of Haitians whom I have learned from worked with since I first went to Haiti in 98. In preparation for that meeting, Ali and Kyle spoke with me for hours, promising they would not betray me. As soon as I got into the meeting, Kyle's face completely changed and he was all smiles with these two antagonistic actors. It was 4-on-1. The entire meeting was recorded on a Zoom that Ali promised to give me. He lied over and over. Cohen and Ives were taking advantage of the delusional wannabe warlord when there was a nation inundated with upwards towards 1 million illegal U.S. arms. Now, so he's basically, initially he accused Infrared or Haas of getting him involved with journalists who may or may not have been undercover feds to smuggle guns into Haiti.
What?
That was the original accusation.
Okay.
That has since been rescinded. I think he's retracted that accusation.
Oh, I think legally speaking, they should rescind everything they're saying right now. I'm just wow.
Probably.
Holy
So,
moly.
There's a bit of a lawyery thing in brackets here. It's a big passage.
Okay.
Let me see. Yeah, so originally this was a major accusation, but
all right, we can skip it, I guess.
He since pulled it. So I raised every objection. They laughed at me at the PSL, at Black Alliance for Peace, and other groups who said they were liberals and humanitarians like me who actually cared about the masses. Why would Cohen and Ives take advantage of someone like Ali Hamoud, who has zero experience as a leader? I was forced to contact my lawyers and submit a sworn affidavit of this reckless adventurism that put me and the entire party at risk.
Oh my God.
I am curious, comrades, what would the American people think of months of Telegram chats full of misogyny, hatred of gay people and women, sadism, and much worse? How many screenshots does it take to sink the depraved criminal cult of Haas? These opportunists use my FBI detention and interrogation to make themselves look more militant to their foreign handlers. These sloppy amateurs put us all at risk every day. After all, who are we? We do not have 2.8 million bot followers on Twitter. November 13th, every Wednesday we met for Politburo meetings. November 13th, minutes before the 7 p.m. start, Ali texted the Politburo Telegram chat that he had to take a big shit and we would start 20 minutes later.
Okay, well, there we go.
On the 20th, he texted there was a fat F word on the weight bench that he uses at the gym and we would start late again. He canceled or postponed any meeting he wanted to. He was testing us all. He was testing his power. The ACP was never ours, comrades. It belonged solely to Ali Hamoud and his lackeys. The 7 EB buffoons acted like we could not exist without him and his compadre Hinkle, as you will see in the documentation that I will be sharing. Ali Hamoud and his flunkies were always afraid to put me in leadership. They tried to bribe me. They thought they could bully and break me. They were wrong. I brought these critiques to the rest of leadership, and as you perhaps the most difficult part for me to talk about, as you all know, I was very close to Midwestern Marx crew who brought me in a year and a half ago. After being canceled 21 times by the left, I yearned for comradeship in Marxist-Leninist family because that is what this is all about, comrades. Eddie, Noah, and Carlos became executive board members back in July. I no longer recognize these individuals who I called friends and comrades and went to visit in their homes. Now I call them Executive Noah, Executive Carlos, and Executive Eddie. Ever since the ACP was formed, they have elevated themselves above everybody else, above the rank and file and above the American people. Just because they're starting to earn salaries and have proximity to power, our relationship has completely changed. They're unrecognizable to me. Pettis and Hamoud convinced them that they could not trust anybody besides them and the executive board. Noah, Carlos, and Eddie are completely incapable of hearing one word of this. They too are victims, but will have to realize this at their own pace. They even told me I was not allowed to talk to anyone in New York. Their worst fear was that I could train the 55 New York comrades in class struggle. These petty tyrants and wannabes are craven, pitiful boys. I had their backs and they plotted to ambush me in New York and on other occasions. I lost 3 friends, but regained all the dignity they tried to strip from me. Yeah. So he what's interesting, he still has a very sympathetic eye towards the Midwestern Marx leadership.
There is some weird stockholder syndrome with that. That is, oh my God. Wow.
As much as, Stockholm syndrome is a thing.
Yeah.
Because
I just like, why? Like, this is, oh God. It takes a while to leave a cult, I guess. You gotta,
Yeah, but the Stockholm syndrome itself is a made up thing. It's not a real.
Really?
It's not a real psychological occurrence.
Oh, okay. Well, Aaron, leading psychologist expert. I have no idea. I
read about this ages ago. Stockholm syndrome derives from it was like a bank robbery, and there were hostages inside the bank.
And they went to protect him when they were leaving, kind of thing.
No, the hostages were basically begging the cops not to come in guns blazing because they're going to get the hostages killed. And to explain this hysterical women's behavior, the psychologists on the ground were like, "Oh, well, it's a made up thing. We called it Stockholm syndrome because she came to terms with her hostage takers." But because it was some woman who didn't want to die because the cops are incompetent, they obviously labeled it as hysteria. Or something. And they just made up this fucking thing to explain why people don't want to be shot by cops.
That's some like criticizing Israel is anti-Semitism shit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or like what's that thing that there was some like disorder that they said slaves had when they tried to escape. I forget what the name of it was.
That sounds familiar. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was another incident last
escaping.
month. There was another incident last month at the height of the 5-day Amazon Teamster workers strike. A lot of our New York members spent more time online than in real life. They never built with the people. They are the terminally online social media generation. I was here to train them. There are honest generational problems that we could have worked through. And this is why I believe in this party. I wanted to build up the up and coming revolutionaries just as the generation before me, trained by Hampton, a real chairman, trained me. Different critiques came up through the ranks, which we articulated to national leadership. Kyle's response was he was coming to New York City with Eddie and Hamoud to castrate Spiros in front of everybody so that he could humiliate him like a word for all of his fuck ups. God and nation were testing me. All I wanted to do was build up and train proletarian leadership. Again, I had to stand on business like a man and a communist. I pushed back and told the executive board that they never get close to any of my comrades in New York, and they would have to go through me, and we would see who came out castrated. Spiros and I did not see eye to eye, and I have my doubts about his honesty, but we can work out as equals and as comrades. Now they're threatening to come this Sunday and make even more of a mockery of their own mess. How easy to blame the young 20-year-olds, little LARPers who are only emulating the big LARPers of the chief LARPer himself, the anti-American, the anti-patriot, culture war, vulture, fake, prima donna, bully, chauvinist Jackson Hinkle. You should come to New York too, you punk-ass bitch. This petty bourgeois poser in no way represents any of us or the proud, humble working class of this country. The anti-patriot cares more about his own ego than about the American people. Jackson spends more time with the Russian government than with the American people. His hunt for clout is always our mess to clean up. How destructive social media is to the soul. So again, this is a purely, almost exclusively online cult that these people have formed.
Right. This isn't real. They don't do any real organizing. Jackson Hinkle, everything's never organized. They just, like I said, I think you made the good point that the picket lines were there and they were on the online doing streams and shit. Like, you can stream from the picket line. I know Communist Kyle on Twitch, he was on the picket line streaming, which I think is a great way to get you out there. But
I mean, the thing is, like, they're in terms of online shit, it's like, I don't want to completely disparage doing stuff online. You can obviously do reading groups. You can do, audiobooks, have discussions, etc. Like, there's utility to it. The thing is, like, they're not actually contributing anything. Haas has, like, routinely said stuff like "fuck union organizing." Yep. He's condemned, obviously, baristas, like the actors and screenwriters strikes. This is someone, they're not contributing to anything, not education wise, unless miseducation counts, not in terms of discussions and bringing like-minded, like, actual communists together. They're bringing morons and fascists together and trying to give them an organizing space. That's not a positive contribution.
Right.
And they're not coming out of, like, a Maoist group, an anarchist, a Trotskyist. groups that have actually done like real things, whether it's mutual aid, anti-war organizing, union organizing, they condemn all of that. Their whole reality is who gets more likes and clicks and views. And it's like, I know that I think Shaw said like Carlos said, like, we should lie about Haas being a victim of some like Ukrainian attack because it'll get us more members. It's like it's so Nietzschean. They're trying to create facts and truths with their clickbait. And the thing is, it's a Wile E. Coyote thing. It's like they think they're actually gonna do something, but it's like they're walking off that cliff, and eventually you're gonna look down and you're gonna fall.
Right, right. Good analogy. I mean, that's the whole thing. And also, I mean, this is the narcissism of like, he's going down to New York to do organizing and he wants to train people. And they're showing up, we're going to castrate him. And they don't want anybody to stand out and do good because it threatens their stature in the party.
Also, a side note, it's like, what communist group earnestly says they're going to castrate people?
No shit.
I mean, that is so vicious, misogynistic, and cruel and homophobic. Yeah. It's like, you don't say that if you're a communist. That's the type of stuff Republicans and fascists say.
Yeah.
Which, obviously is their audience, but it's like the fact that they use that type of language, just like, no, you don't use that. You don't say you're going to do something like that.
No, that's insane. This is bizarre.
This is my favorite part of this letter. Oh. In December, Ali Hamoud went to Russia for an indefinite period of time last month. I received several phone calls from journalists, lawyers, and revolutionaries in Russia complaining about his erratic and disturbing behavior. He was calling well-known Russian women hoes. They described him as completely discombobulated and disheveled. They did not know if he was drunk or bipolar.
Oh, wow.
I love that. He's just so there's video that emerged of him shooting a machine gun like from the shoulder at a shooting range in Russia. And I just love this idea of him running around being a moron and semi-serious revolutionaries in Russia being like, who the fuck is this guy?
Oh shit.
Like I have problems with the Russian Communist Party. Yeah. They supported the fucking invasion in Ukraine, instead of revolutionary defeatism like a true Leninist party would have been.
Right.
And they kicked out all the people who were opposed to the war. So yeah, I have serious problems with them. But even they were like, this guy's a fucking lunatic.
Right. And it's not like he's going to like Cuba. Cuba would make sense. Like, okay, that's better. But Russia's capitalist and is led by a reactionary government. Like, this isn't 1971. You could be like, well, it's even no.
It's also, but okay, yes, Russia's capitalist and reactionary, but like all that aside, like if you're actually like representing like your organization in a foreign country, you try and be diplomatic and on your best behavior.
Yeah,
you don't go around calling women hoes and shit like that. That's leaving aside like all the reactionary politics. You're not even a good ambassador in like a bourgeois sense.
No kidding. Good.
You're just an idiot.
Wow.
And it's like, it's like vulgar Freudism that does he have a fucking small dick? Is that why he's like shooting off machine guns?
You big man. That's right.
It's like that might impress, a 12-year-old, but it doesn't impress those of us who've like studied this shit and know this is like, and like you said, like Russia's not socialist, not even nominally.
Yeah.
No.
Like, how is this building the party? Like, how is this like, you should be meeting with, if he was meeting with like trade union leaders, I'm like, oh, okay, he's meeting with trade union leaders. He's meeting with other party. Like, this is just him like getting drunk or having an episode at a gun range. Like, holy God, dude.
So a couple paragraphs left here. So let me address the coward himself directly, Ali Hamoud. You're a dark, isolated, antisocial individual who does not know how to work with others or see them as equals. Depending on your own conduct and that of your henchmen, depending on how quickly you shut down this racist, homophobic, anti-women, anti-American people, ideological fiasco, you'll be learning a lot more about Ali Hamoud, Kyle Pettis, Carlos Garrido, and others from the usurping executive board. You fucking cowards. You broke all of our hearts with your complete incompetency and selfishness. These are not communists. They're not even men. We'll be waiting for you on 149th Street, you phony-ass punks.
Oh, well, jeez. I guess looks like he left well, that seems to be a good exit strategy here, but boy.
This is I love this too. They added this one random dude, Abe, who never once introduced to us, never once said a word, and never once turned his camera on. They added him to chats across the country. These are not adults. These are spies. With one exception, everybody remains silent and has continually enabled Ali to act as a type of cult leader. All Hamoud's liberal Midwestern milkmaids, my former comrades turned sellouts, did was tone police those who stood up by themselves. And then he references Black Hammer, which
God.
Yes.
That should be an episode. Holy crap.
we should
Black Hammer.
we should do a deep dive into Black Hammer because I don't know any podcasts that have done that.
Oh, good Lord.
Anyway, so that's this guy's resignation letter. That was phenomenal. And the last one I want to read out, and I think we have more clips that we want to get to as well. This one, I don't think, hopefully it's not as long. This is from Bree. This is one of the very few women that resigned from the Communist Party. Now, this thread, this Twitter thread actually had to be archived because she ended up deleting all of her social media and she went completely like offline, which, good for her.
Yeah.
So in light of the recent high profile resignations from 2 ACP Politburo members, I'd like to offer my own thorough critique of the ACP. So my time as the North Carolina chapter executive, I joined the ACP shortly after its launch in summer of 2024. I resigned in December. I am compelled to write this because the ACP is rapidly self-cannibalizing. Under the present leadership will waste the time, energy, and motivation of its members. The ACP is toxic to the development of the American working masses. My association with the ACP is known online, and I face continual harassment from affiliates ever since I left the group, in part because few seem to understand why I left and the countless hours I spent trying to improve the organization to no avail. So you cannot do entryism into this dog shit party to try and change it from the inside.
No.
The ACP is a cult of personality with the top ranks filled by narcissists, cowards, self-interested grifters, shrouded in a veil of legitimacy by the rank and file membership and their well-intentioned but woefully unskilled and disconnected work. Most ACP members are completely ignorant to the dynamics of leadership. As hero of the party, so that's a title that was bestowed upon her at one point, probably because she actually did a lot of work raising money for her victim of Hurricanes Helene in North Carolina. So she got Hero of the Party award.
Party. Oh, okay.
Not to diminish her work, but I'm wondering if they do a lot of because they also got accused of not having women in their party and just being like misogynistic, and it is mostly a party of gym bros.
Yes.
But like the 1 or 2 women in your party, you're probably going to prop them up and put them in front of the camera to show that like women aren't afraid to be near you.
And shit like
tokenizing, that's the word.
Right.
I wonder if that had anything to do with it.
This is some weird Stalinist shit.
It's very grandiose. The fact that they have a Politburo, and executive
lots
chairman.
Of words. Yeah.
It's very grandiose, and if you've studied enough of Soviet history, those words meant something, but it's like as shitty as the Stalinists were, they had organization and power.
Right. Vasily Zaitsev was the hero of the Soviet Union for fighting Russian Nazi fascists during World War II. He got that title. I don't think she's the equivalent of that, even though she did great work. Not like I said,
I don't even think the CPUSA, even at its high point, had these kind of awards. This was more for ruling parties that they.
I don't know. Chris throws out Order of Lenin's like their candy on this podcast.
Now, Order of Lenin's a bit different. Now, I didn't say hero of the study group yet. I'm not that nuts. All right, I'm just saying Orders of Lenin for everyone who attended or said. I give those out willy nilly. And I can send you a JPEG of it. That's not a problem.
A very pixelated JPEG. That'll be fun.
Hey, I do the best I can. Okay,
so,
come on.
This is a very good critique of a lot of the work or lack of work that they do, on the ground. So, the executive leadership of the ACP purports to uphold the American proletarian mass line, but we have no American proletarian mass movement, and the ACP has no plan or ability to build one. So what line are they really upholding? Their own. The cult of personality surrounding Haas relies on people believing he has some unique access to communist knowledge and truth, despite Haas doing zero work on the ground and living completely isolated from the American people. Clearly, such a perspective is both predatory and fundamentally anti-communist. In Haas's geopolitical postmodernist theory, with threads of Trotskyism, if Trotsky had been a total failure, the social media war is paramount. Why? Because social media is the only way Haas and his ilk have relevance or authority, and because social media is one of the main ways the ACP executive board gets paid. It is also through social media that Haas is irrevocably bound to Jackson Hinkle, who has a much broader and artificially boosted reach. Haas has previously stated Jackson and himself are one and the same, and this is why. Haas needs Jackson.
Agree.
So
It's some weird sci-fi crap there.
That is, yeah.
I still don't understand. I've read this sentence over and over again.
I
Threads of
did too.
Trotskyism if Trotsky had been a total failure. I don't know what she means.
I
by
think
that.
she's saying that Trotsky actually was successful in certain
Yeah.
ways. This, keep in mind, this is like a quasi-Stalinist critique of the ACP. They all kind of are, even if like they're not actually as principled as actual Stalinists, and that's saying something.
Yeah.
She's saying that he's even worse than Trotsky, which, you know, for a Stalinist, that's actually a big
It's a big
criticism.
insult. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my
Yeah.
again, I'm not expecting these people, you know, as Socialism for All correctly said, these people need to do a lot more self-reflection. You know, there was no rational kernel in this experiment. The kernel was more diarrhea. Yes, I'm keep using that.
That's awesome.
This is a really good phrase that they use here. They believe they can uniquely connect all the strings of the world through their personal, and then keyword here, suspiciously high profile connections. And thus they can successfully foment a world proletarian revolution.
Suspiciously high profile connections. Yes.
And so
I
here's
am also suspicious of these
multiple tweets of Jackson Hinkle defending and endorsing Andrew Tate for some reason.
Right. The Trump loving Andrew Tate, misogynist human trafficker Andrew Tate. That's
pedophile rapist, yes.
Right. Yeah, that's gone back.
No, yep. Pedophile and rapist. He's not he doesn't rape pedophiles.
It's their own inconsistency made consistent. The fact is, like, infrared, if you actually read the description of it, it's like vision beyond the political spectrum, you know, beyond left and right, which is a very classical fascist slogan. Mm-hmm. So they think they can bring together like parts of the left who are not woke and shit like that. But they also want to bring together like Tate, who sometimes sounds kind of edgy and anti-system, or Dugin, who's anti-liberal. You know, that's the thing. They want to get all like these anti-liberal forces together, and they think that they can form a mass movement. But it's like taking like every, you know, like ingredient in your drawer and just throwing it into a pot and pan and thinking you're going to make a cake or a souffle. You're probably going to make something that's very inedible from that mixture.
Right. Which is the whole mixture of the national Bolshevism thing that Dugin actually tried. Like, I did know a little bit about it, where like when he did try to bring these weird ass forces together, it just led to infighting and nothing. Like, this is exactly what's going to happen. There's no ideology.
Like, if you bring like these forces together, it's like what's the stronger element? Like, you know, if you bring like Nazism together, that's going to cancel out like universalism, internationalism, and anti-oppression politics, because that's what he rates higher. If you actually read him closely, he's like, the fourth political theory is meant to bring together like these anti-liberal forces, but it's basically rebranded fascism.
Right.
You know, and that's the thing. It's like you can bring together like different groups of Marxists potentially in a party, if you know, with some kind of revolutionary recruitment, because on a certain level you would do agree with a lot of the fundamentals. But if you're going to bring together a bunch of Nazis and communists with scare quotes, what element's going to win out in that synthesis? It's not going to be like an actual communist element.
No.
It's just going to be like the Nazism with like, you know, like a thin coat of red, a very thin coat, of course. The aesthetics, which is, you know, what these people are.
Yep.
So they focus more on international outreach, it seems.
For a party that just
and anything domestic is relegated to the rank and file, is what she's saying here. Domestic concerns are wholly relegated to the inept, but typically well-meaning rank and file, and they're overworked, under-resourced chapter executives. The patriotism of the ACP, so maligned by leftists, is in truth just an aesthetic veneer. I had to fight for the ACP to even acknowledge and release a statement on the horribly devastating Hurricane Helene, and even when I convinced the executive board, I had to write a statement entirely by myself. Furthermore, my criticism of the blatant statistical errors in the party's public Veterans Day statement were ignored. Why? The executive board cared more about tweet views than accuracy. Internal dysfunction of the ACP. She taught. So we covered a lot of this. This is interesting. Generally, the EB took exceedingly little interest in the work of its members unless and until it caught the EB's attention on social media. If the attention was negative, the punishment was swift and severe. If the attention was positive, you could be exalted to the most unusual heights. This is how I was awarded Hero of the American Communist Party so quickly, despite my history of disagreement with members of the EB. I simply made the party look really good in public. As hero of the party and one of the most successful chapter executives, was I ever asked to educate other members of the lessons we learned along the way so that others may replicate our success? Of course not. Chapter enterprises. I think just if you think about it for 2 seconds, like I've already said, this was doomed to fail. Like this was like This is such an profoundly stupid idea. I cannot get over how dumb this was.
I mean, petty bourgeois to fund communism. Can't imagine. My God, they haven't read anything at all.
Lenin said,
This is multi-level marketing. This is all
yes.
it is to them.
Yes,
Lenin
the
said,
bad
go to the
MLM.
masses. Yes, it's the bad kind of MLM, exactly. Lenin said, go to the masses, not isolate ourselves in our own petty businesses, hoping to one day have a large enough business to organize the proletariat. The idea is absurd and the execution is non-existent. I do, however, understand the need to have independent funding for communist organizing. To that end, why did ACP leadership never establish or promote a way to donate to the ACP? Yeah, exactly. Like just pay your fucking dues.
Yeah.
They could have set up a book club if any of them could read. Supposedly, Haas has been writing a book for like the last 2 years.
Oh, I can't wait.
Oh
Cannot
my
wait to read it.
God. We're doing a book review on that one. That's amazing.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
That one's on the house. We'll do it for free.
Yeah.
The leadership of the ACP has no leadership experience, and it shows. They have no apparent knowledge of organizational management. They aren't interested in gaining those skills. Under the executive board's misleadership, the ACP rank and file are an unstably unified collection of two broad groups of contradictory people. Those from IGG/infrared and those from more offline backgrounds who specifically support ACP. The former group, often called guerrillas, dogmatically back the con, Haas. The ones tearing me apart on social media for leaving ACP are primarily from this group. Note to that many of these infrared stands are not in the party and thus have no actual ability to speak on party dynamics, yet they're often the vocal and ardent supporters. This is very deliberate. They have
this is why he wants
hundreds.
Yeah,
they have
right.
hundreds
Haas
of these.
Wants to control and get the attention and accolades of being so great on the stream because one-on-one, you're fucking psychotic, dude. You're no.
They have hundreds of these so-called supporters who aren't like part of the actual party. So when they're being morons online and used as evidence that the ACP is toxic and full of morons, you can then point to them and be like, well, they're not actually part of the party. So we can't really.
That's not the rank and file, but Haas calls him the rank and file. That's the whole thing, right? Yeah.
It's completely deliberate.
He has no concept of how a party works because he's never been in one. This is
even he makes Gus Hall look like really competent and like intelligent, and I guess he was in comparison.
Yeah.
This is exactly my criticism of these guys for years. Haas, Jackson Hinkle, and Midwestern Marks have all systematically prioritized their own streams of revenue and relevance over the party itself, leaving other members to desperately try and pick up the slack. Jackson's only perceivable role in the party was to create introductory graphics for the new chapters and boost them on Twitter, a task he unceremoniously quit doing entirely within weeks of the party launch. Great job. Great job, Jackson.
Hey, you did that. You drew a picture.
Carlos, the ACP director of education, relied on the California chapter to put together a functional educational program for all party cadre while happily taking money from members to teach unofficial Marxist courses elsewhere. Haas prioritized his personal trip to Russia and a pointless debate with a TikToker over drafting and assembling the most fundamental and necessary party documents. This is amazing.
Carlos couldn't even bother program. He couldn't even bother
putting together. Yeah, he couldn't even bother putting his own thing together. Where's the rational kernel in that?
From what I understand, he's actually like a college teacher. So it's like he actually does have, at least theoretically, experience doing that. So even that's pretty incompetent.
He's the most qualified to do it, and he just relegated it to somebody else.
Wow. Okay. Good leadership.
Haas continually states criticism is welcome within the party, but that is because the criticism must go directly to the EB, and thus the critique will immediately be neutralized and rendered inconsequential. No meaningful disagreement is tolerated. Because of my reputation for being willing to speak up when ACP leadership errs, I've received an abundance of direct messages from ACP members since the party's launch expressing dissatisfaction with the EB while maintaining that they support ACP, want to remain in the ACP, but do not know how to move forward and affect change. Many members and even some chapter executives have expressed to me that they fear reprisals if they speak up in internal channels. They feel impotent against the executive board, and they, of course, are.
Just quit.
Just quit.
Quit this group in 6 months. I mean, I'm sure not everyone's, but quit. Join the Communist Party USA. Like, if you're going to do that, if you're going to be that, join the Revolutionary Communist Party, which seems saner than, quit. That's my only advice to all of you is quit.
Yeah. Anyway, so it's more of the same. So these problems are all consistent across the board with everyone who's resigned, which leads me to believe that these this isn't some psyop. This isn't some fucking coordinated thing.
This is just a bad idea. A real bad idea.
This whole thing is a complete and abject failure.
Right. That's it. That's really the only thing. And the only solution is quit. This group needs to go away and vanish like it never existed. and everyone's going to be better for leaving it. Haas is not a leader, and it's showing. You're just wasting your time, money, and resources. You want to do something, be a tenant organizer, be a union organizer, donate your time and money to, like, I don't know, fucking anything but this.
I'll say this, and this is not actually for people who are considering joining, but it's for anyone who is actually in the ACP and they actually do leave. Take a lot of time, educate yourself, like years. Like, I don't like the whole Maoist self-criticism thing. I think it's fair, but you really do need to self-criticize a lot. Like, you need to take a hard look and say, like, is calling people the F word and tolerating, like, misogynistic morons, who don't know anything, like communism. You really need to do a lot of self-reflection before you should consider stepping out into politics. And if the only thing you get out of that is you're going to withdraw from public life and just live privately, I think that's fine. Because honestly, I would, someone who went, like, willingly join that, I would be incredibly suspicious of having them rejoin any leftist group. I don't care if you're a Maoist, a Trotskyist, or whatever.
Right.
Because the fact is, you were an adult, you claim to want the liberation of the working class, and you were joined that.
Yeah. Yep.
No, you got to do a lot of self-criticism.
You saw how these people behave online, offline, and that's, you still joined. Yeah, it's
it's not like the people who joined the ISO and when it fell apart that they really regretted it. I don't think the ISO was born like some kind of like wretched group like this. The ISO had a lot of problems. I'm not saying it didn't.
This isn't a degenerated. It's not a degenerated communist party. This is a deformed communist party.
Yeah,
right. This isn't like socialist
Actually, this
Romania.
is an aborted communist party.
Trotsky
it was
is
like,
cut.
Yeah.
Like a miscarriage at like 2 weeks or something.
Yeah. Anyway,
It came out like the alien in Romulus. Sorry, spoilers.
Gross.
This is just a little Haas.
Anyway, you heard Haas say stuff like this, and you still joined. This is incredible.
Okay, 33 seconds. Here we go. I haven't heard.
Probably haven't heard this. You have not heard this.
I hope.
Is it okay for Jackson to support in any way or express approval in any way of Andrew Tate, despite the fact that he has a history of being involved in the sex trade and sexual and allegations of sexual assault? I have a very simple question. I'll just ask you. What is your opinion of Fidel Castro?
I generally support Fidel Castro.
Was it okay for Fidel Castro to meet with Malcolm X and support Malcolm X?
Yeah, that's the same.
Yes. So what was
that
his point?
Malcolm X to Andrew Tate.
Are you
What did Malcolm X do?
Like Okay, yes, Malcolm X had like a criminal record and stuff, but he legitimately changed. He developed like very left-wing positions.
Yeah.
What has Andrew Tate done that even compares?
Right. And
He's like
while he was in
moron.
prison, he turned his life around and got the Nation of Islam, and then when he went to Mecca, he got some very good things. And he was a true believer. Like,
and when he left the Nation of Islam, he kept
even bring his
going
name
further
up.
left. Like, the old Socialist Workers Party was promoting him, and he was promoting them to a certain extent. It's like, please don't. This is like insane to compare those two.
Yeah.
Like, if suddenly Tate was coming out and it's like, I want to volunteer for like as a guerrilla for the Filipino Maoists or something, and like going to give up all my wealth to them, I still wouldn't trust him. But it would actually maybe to a certain extent support that, but it's not. This is like a fucking grifting, like a con artist.
He took
He's
Piers
comparing Fidel
Morgan.
Castro to Jackson Hinkle.
Malcolm X is.
Dare you?
My God. I mean, the FBI let Malcolm X get assassinated, like, because the FBI. Oh, good God.
It's like these people live in like a complete fantasy world. Like, he thinks he's play acting as both Genghis Khan and Mao.
No shit.
When he can't even cosplay as Bozo the Clown.
Well, look how he's dressed in this clip.
Okay. Yeah, he's got the Castro.
Where like he actually suggests for his base to do terrorism in this clip.
Oh,
it's just, but it is binding to you guerrillas, okay? Not institutionally, but as an online army, so to speak. Absolutely, this war is not over. This internet war, it's not over, okay? As somebody who was relatively in proximity with real war in real life, I'm telling you, this is a real fucking war, this internet shit. It is a real war, okay?
No, it's not.
The difference between this internet shit and real war is just courage. Like, are you ready to get blown up and die? That's it. The level of intensity of conflict, of antagonism, of understanding that you have to strategize and coordinate and you have to undermine an enemy and outplay them and whatever. It's the same fucking thing. The red line is just courage. Like, okay, in one, you're sitting from the safety of a remote place and you're using your phone or you're at your desk. And in the other case, there's an element of risk involved in risking your life. The minister, what's up? But that's the...
I love that it still gets interrupted with like subscription alerts because like again that's what matters. That's all that matters.
That's little keyboard warrior shit. Like
he's literally at a desk saying this. He says he was in proximity of a war. Like, what war was that? Like the Spanish American?
Like he was like he was in Russia, and his whole party had the story that like some Ukrainian missiles went off near his hotel, which apparently didn't happen.
No
and
kidding,
that's
he's lying.
And like he cosplayed with his like penis machine gun or something over there.
The only difference, and frankly speaking, in our intensely psychological era, it's not actually a difference that is so hard to overcome. It's really not. I mean, for example, ISIS through social media recruited like literal terrorists who blew themselves up. I mean, it's not a huge leap to go from the intensity of the way social antagonisms manifest themselves on the internet to real life, like actual real war and shit, you know? In Chicago, gangs that are killing each other and fighting each other, it's literally downstream from social media beef all the time. So...
no, poverty and crime and institutional racism.
So yeah, the internet is very fucking real. It's very, very real. All right.
Does he like put a helmet on and like he's like, all right, I'm gonna stream today?
Alexander with the 10, thank you.
Well, he's had streams where he has like toy guns on them and shit.
Just like the comedic timing is so perfect. The internet is very fucking real, and then a bunch of subscriptions come in.
Thanks for the 10.
You know, any serious group would tell you it's like, you know, not like how to like phrase things and also like things you don't call for.
Right.
You know.
Well, I just put in the chat a link to a video of Fred Hampton. We don't have to watch the whole thing, but just the first part, they ask him about like the weathermen and the like terrorist attacks in the 60s.
Okay.
And he's got a really good response that is
I've never seen this
somewhat different from Haas.
Right. Okay.
Do you have a timestamp or is it just right from the beginning?
It's right at the beginning.
Fred, where does the Black Panther Party stand concerning the weathermen, the SDS?
We stand way back from the SDS and the weathermen because we believe that the weathermen action, there's two actions, there's RIM 2 and weatherman. We think they call them both national action. We think that RIM 2 is national action, weatherman is national reaction, you know. We think it is anarchistic, opportunistic, individualistic, it's chauvinistic, it's custoristic, and that's the bad part about it. It's custoristic in that its leaders take people into situations where the people can be massacred, and they call that revolution. And it's nothing but child's play, it's folly, and it's criminal because people can be hurt. We say that they're doing exactly what the pigs want them to do. When they take people down and just do nothing, play around, and the pigs are prepared for this, and they'll wipe all of those young people out. We think these people may be sincere, but they're misguided, they're muddleheads, and they're scatterbrains. The only way we can show them is to criticize them like we're doing right now, and then leave from here and go to the federal building and have a demonstration that's to educate, a demonstration that is disciplined and organized, you know. And that's what we're going to have to do, and let them see the example.
There you go.
This is why they murdered him.
Yeah.
This is why he's a 20-year-old kid, by the way. Yeah. He's at most 21, but he's probably 20. They had to murder this kid because oh my fucking God.
In 60 seconds, he just summed up our entire podcast episode tonight.
All right. Well, good night, everybody. We're just going to play delete end transmission. We're done.
He's right. It's like the Weather Underground were a bunch of like spoiled kids who were doing like these stupid actions that weren't going to liberate anybody for all the reasons he said. Right. One thing, and this actually kind of happens a little after, you know, his death, like most of the SDS people don't join the Weather Underground. They join these various new Maoist type parties, a lot of whom, you know, have a lot of
Stalinist ones too, right? Yeah.
Yeah, they have a lot of they have a lot of bad
PLP,
politics.
right? I think it's
they have a lot of bad politics. I don't want to deny that. But one thing they did that I think deserves more study from us is a lot of them went to the working class. They tried to organize unions in like West Virginia and elsewhere. And that was like serious organizing shit. You know, that was like it wasn't this flashy crap, but they were trying to like actually build a movement, and props to them for that. And the fact is, like, Haas and his people think they've got to do like this fake war and this type of stuff that's like, it's also kind of strange. Didn't Haas already say that we live under socialism? So why does he actually have to do any of this?
Weird. Yeah.
You know, I'm just saying, you know, it's like, first of all, it's like, you don't tell anyone who says that kind of crap in an actual leftist organization, if they're not a cop, they're an idiot.
Right.
Because, you know, you're going to get the cops on you for saying shit like that. You never, ever say crap like that.
Right.
And any experienced organizer will tell you to watch out for anyone who says, like, why don't we, you know, do X, Y, and Z in terms of like
why don't
violence.
we do some real action? Right.
And it's like, you know, why are we reading books?
Right.
You know, I remember someone who I don't particularly like now. He said, you know, it's like, you know, you're gonna study because it's like, you know, you're not gonna be doing stuff with like weapons and crap. The weapons are like the books now.
Educate this first. This
Yeah.
is where you're really gonna do it. Like, I'm sure
And
there's
the
like
fact-
Maoist guerrillas who have guns who read while they're doing it. Like, reading
Yeah,
is
they
always
actually
a thing.
do.
Yeah.
And you know what? There were study groups in like the Red Army, you know, under Trotsky, all these serious groups. Like the fact is they had to have political commissars who were educated in like Marxism. I mean, what the fuck do you think was happening?
I've seen pictures of Palestinian resistance fighters reading Mao's Little Red Book.
Yep.
Right. I mean,
Yeah,
there's a line from Che Guevara. It was in the movie. I bet he said it, but like when they took a second and he's like, why do we have to read? He goes, uneducated people are very easy to deceive. That's the why you do it. Because like I said, you're not training them. Someone else is going to educate them. That's the enemy. Like, that's why we're going to be teaching you shit. So you know. That's why.
And, you know, for all the problems of the Black Panthers, and they had their problems too.
Yeah.
They did educate people, you know. If you watch the Judas and the Black Messiah, which has its problems in terms of a film, but they do show like Hampton educating people, you know, doing political education, like serious stuff. It's not this type of stream crap where it's Haas pontificating about like the esoteric insights of Alexander Dugin on like how to oppress Jews or something.
Right.
You know, it's actual shit about like Marxist political theory on the history of revolution and shit.
Yeah. I got to save this link. I'm going to watch the rest of it after.
This is so good.
Oh my God.
This is a side note.
I'm so sad. It's like this is the leftist version of like the burning of the Great Library of Alexandria to me. Like the potential this man could have been.
I know.
Like it makes me sad. Like he was like 21.
I know.
He
Imagine
did it
him
at 21
or 30.
There's
or
a lot
40.
of good histories of the
Like,
Panthers out there. I've got to look more seriously. I don't think that there's actually like a biography of Hampton. Yes, he
Dude,
died at 21.
yeah, I know you've been talking to dude.
That would be one worth reading. You could probably someone could do that in like under 200 pages. I'm just saying, like, that would be one worth reading.
Yeah.
The thing is, this
Hampton
really
was
reminds
definitely
me,
like one of the lost leaders of the 60s.
Like a well organized, well educated leadership was that much of a threat to the state that they had to gun him down.
Yeah.
That's what people. That's why I try to get people to fucking understand this.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, they're not gunning down Andrew Tate. Like,
Right. No.
they're not taking
they're
out
propping him
like
up.
Robert F. Kennedy. Like the RFK Jr., the only Kennedy they won't take out.
Yeah, because nobody takes him seriously because of his wackadoodle beliefs and the fact that his voice sounds like you're putting a fork in the dispenser.
All right. We are approaching probably the 2-hour mark for the show. We might want to
special edition.
This has been our special edition. Is there anything else we want to wrap up with at all? Or I'm
tired. I'm tired and sweaty. This is a long ass fucking episode.
I know it was.
I have to get up at 4:30 in the morning. So
oh shit, dude. Okay. All right. So to everybody out there, thank you for listening. Please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, not Twitter. No, we're not on that. Blue Sky, the Left Opposition Podcast. If you want to send us a message, the Left Opposition Podcast at gmail.com. I realized when I wrote that's a very long email. But yeah. Also, if you want to support our work, Patreon.com, the Left Opposition Podcast. In the meantime, for free, if you could give us a like on any platform and a 5-star review, it costs you nothing. That would be a great help to us. Help us boost us in the algorithms to get a message out there. So thank you for listening. We'll be back. I'll be back in 2 weeks. Hopefully the rest of the crew will carry on without me. By the way, I want to say Aaron, Joe, and Ben's not here. That was a great. I don't listen to myself. If I'm on a podcast, I will not listen to myself. I hate it. So if I'm not on it, I'll listen. And I think the three of you really carried the show very well. It was a great episode. Well done on it. The whole thing was awesome. So yeah,
honestly, I think that just doing it helped clarify what fascism is more than reading. I've read multiple times about fascism, but like that, I think probably drove
that Left Voice article was good. I liked it too. That was well done. So seriously, nice job to all of you on that. So do it again. Seriously, that's fine.
It doesn't mean we should downplay the threat of Trumpism and this new era. Where basically this is the death of the neoliberal era.
Yeah,
but all the more reason to keep organizing, educating, reading, radicalizing.
I'm sorry I wasn't able to come on that night because I would have had a lot to say.
I know that would have been good. So all right, so next
always
week,
do another
please.
episode.
Yeah, do another one, please. So
every week is going to be some crazy shit in the news.
Unfortunately,
Next week we'll probably talk about I don't know, Trump's executive orders and what they mean. Whatever fucking rando boogeyman they find in the Middle East to threaten us with now. It'll
probably be DEI they discovered in the Middle East problem. They have to bomb it. So,
Oh my God.
That's it. All right. So
you know what we should talk about next time is Vivek Chibber has a new thing, some anti-woke article that's making the rounds.
He is a complete scumbag.
Oh crap! I won't be around. Fuck. I'll do it. I'll listen.
I condemned him in my Harrington book as like a fucking opportunist reformist, and
I'd like to hear more about that. I think we should discuss.
He's a fucking asshole.
We should go after Chibber next episode. Okay.
All right. I'll listen. I promise. So yeah, do it, and Chris will listen in. So that's awesome. But all right, awesome. So everyone, thank you very much. We'll see you around. Aaron, you're going to bed. You're not going to do what I can do. Thank you for our Twitter audience. We always appreciate you being there. Thank you. We are always reading along. We try to comment as much as we can. We kind of follow a script, so it's hard for us to do both. But really, we're always reading in, and thank you for the comments. It does make the show fun for us. Hopefully, Twitch. It makes it fun for you. So
poggers. You're supposed to say poggers a lot. When
I'm not doing any of that at all. No, absolutely no. All right, I am an elder millennial. Kept that. You get it. We get a Zoomer on here. You kids can say it. All right. So whatever the fuck it is,
we can bring JR on to say it. I think 35 and up crowd. We gotta.
Yeah, no, that's it. I'll start talking about MySpace and my top 5 if you keep this shit up, kids. All right, so enough. Piss off.
But for Twitch chat though, I'm keeping a record of whenever we respond to comments in Twitch, and if it's an interesting response, then I set it aside and I'll put it up on Patreon. So check us out.
Nice. That's a great idea.
So
there we
check
go.
us out. Check us out for bonus content on Patreon. We've only got one extra thing up there right now. Someone asked us in chat straight up, "Is Stalin bad?" And then we kind of did a bit of a derail.
That was a good one. Yeah,
I clipped that and I put it up there. It's on its own. And then eventually, maybe every 6 months, I'll stitch them together into a special episode.
All right, thank you. And I don't know what Riz is, by the way, with 2 Z's. And I'm not gonna. I'm signing off, so I'm not. Don't even bother explaining it. I'm deleting everything on here. All right.
It's short for charisma.
Thanks. I wish you didn't tell me that. I like not knowing this shit. All right, good. All right, kids. Now go to bed and go on your skateboard and drink Jolt soda, whatever the fuck. There's so many millennial references I just made.
Listen
with
to
that.
Pearl
Do
Jam.
they drink
Whatever
still saying Surge soda?
Surge. I love Surge.
I love Surge,
dude.
I
Do you
miss
like OK Soda? Remember OK Soda?
I remember OK. I miss OK
Soda.
Yeah.
Victor Surge soda.
That was amazing. I know. From Lenin to Stalin. Good book. All right.
Yeah, great book.
All right, everyone. Good night. Peace. I'll see you around. And keep up the fight. Keep up the struggle. See you next week or in 2 weeks. All right. Bye, everyone.